Hello everyone, welcome back to the Garland Farms channel. Recently one of my subscribers directed my attention to an NCBA-type YouTube carnivore influencer who goes by the name Kelly Hogan. For those who are not familiar with the NCBA, I've got a video about this organization that I'll leave a link to in the description. Now, Kelly, like other NCBA-type influencers, is very pro-beef. However, she goes the extra mile to discourage the consumption of organ meats as well as grass-finished beef. And, like other NCBA-type influencers, she likes to spin the yarn that grass-finished beef is too expensive for most people and that they should pursue more affordable sources of beef like, say, McDonald's.
These are quarter-pound beef patties from McDonald's.
Oh, and also, for that 6 months, I used no seasonings at all. None. Not a shake of salt, no pepper. I was not eating McDonald's burger patties then. I definitely go through the drive-thru for McDonald's burger patties a lot. People in my Walmart who are poor and on those little scooters and they've got diabetes, they don't necessarily need to go spend more to get grass-finished. I am trying to be more open-minded to the idea of being a responsible carnivore, but I don't want to ever do it to the point where I convince someone who can't afford grass-finished beef to not try.
And then comes the next question. But is it grass-fed?
Eat the beef that you love and that you can afford. And so that, like, give yourself permission. You want to roll through McDonald's drive-thru and eat beef, you can still feel good about it.
And I feel like when we make it so dogmatic and complicated and expensive, my fear is not that there's anything wrong with it. If you can afford it, for heaven's sakes, pay gold bars for your beef. I don't care, right? It's fine. Don't ever go to McDonald's. My fear in it is that there are people who cannot afford to eat that way, people who don't feel like they have time to constantly be cooking, grilling, going to a local cow. And I want to make it so like people know you can still have amazing benefits in a really easy, affordable way if that's what you need.
Yeah, I eat a lot of quarter-pound beef patties from McDonald's.
You see, I, being someone who promotes grass-finished beef as well as regenerative ruminant grazing systems, am allowed to acknowledge certain facts that obviously interfere with the NCBA's marketing strategy. For instance, NCBA-type influencers are constantly telling us that poor people cannot afford grass-finished beef. However, the studies that have been done on America's lowest income families has revealed the fact that they are spending around 40% of their income on luxury items, such as McDonald's meat patties. How can McDonald's meat patties be a luxury, you ask? Well, I did a little experiment to illustrate to you why McDonald's meat patties are not only a luxury item, but their exorbitant cost is likely to make the carnivore way of eating unsustainable for those of us suffering under the constraints of low income. For research purposes only, I went to McDonald's and purchased 5 regular beef patties and brought them home to compare their cost to that of grass-finished beef, in order to put the message of these NCBA-type influencers to the test, and this is how it went. Each of these cooked, regular McDonald's patties weighed 0.07 pounds, which is 1.12 ounces. However, we know that raw, each of these patties weighed 1.6 ounces, which is 0.1 pounds. So I thawed out a pound of grass-finished beef and portioned out 1.6 ounces or 0.1 pounds, formed it into a thin patty and cooked it. After cooking, it weighed 0.8 pounds or 1.28 ounces. So here's the weight comparison of McDonald's versus grass-finished beef, both raw and cooked. You can see that the grass-finished beef lost less weight after cooking, so to compare apples to apples, I calculated how many of each of these two varieties of beef patty it would require to equal 1 pound of cooked beef. 1 pound is equal to 16 ounces, so we divide 16 ounces by 1.12 ounces and we find that it takes 14.29 cooked McDonald's beef patties to equal 1 pound of cooked beef. Meanwhile, if we divide 16 ounces by 1.28 ounces, we find that it takes 12.5 grass-finished beef patties to equal 1 pound of cooked beef. In order to determine the cost of a grass-finished beef patty, I simply went to a popular online grass-fed beef vendor, and we see here that 1 pound of raw grass-finished beef costs $8.49 per pound. And since the uncooked patties weigh 0.1 pounds, we can divide $8.49 by 0.1, and we find that each grass-finished patty costs 85 cents. And we know by looking at the receipt that each of these 0.7 pound cooked McDonald's beef patties costs $1.25. cents each. So in order to keep this an apples versus apples comparison, we need to figure out how many of each of the two types of cooked beef patties it takes to equal 1 pound of cooked beef. To do this, we simply divide 16 ounces by 0.07 to determine how many patties of McDonald's regular beef patties it takes to equal 1 pound of cooked beef, and we get 14.3. Then we go ahead and divide 16 ounces by 0.08, and we get 12.5. Then we can take 14.3 and multiply that times $1.25, and we find that 1 pound of cooked McDonald's beef patties costs $17.88. We can then take 12.5 and multiply that times 85 cents, and we find that 1 pound of cooked grass-finished beef patties costs $10.63. So now you can easily see why McDonald's beef patties are indeed luxury items, and compared to grass-finished beef, a more likely obstacle for a sustainable carnivore lifestyle for those on low income. But let's extrapolate this out so that you can really visualize the insanity of the message coming from these NCBA-type influencers. Kelly Hogan has said that she eats about 2 pounds of McDonald's beef patties per day. So that comes to $35.76 per day, while the equivalent amount of high-quality grass-finished beef would come to $21.26. Next, we can do the math and see that over the course of a week, someone following Kelly's McDonald's-friendly advice would spend $250.32, while someone who's eating grass-finished beef would spend $148.82. We know that, on average, there are 4.345 weeks in a month. So we find that those following Kelly's advice will spend $1,087.64 per month on McDonald's beef patties, while someone eating high-quality grass-finished beef will spend $646.62 per month. And finally, we can look at the comparison over the course of a year, and we see that Kelly's Mickey D's diet will cost $13,051.68, while someone eating high-quality grass-finished beef will spend $7,759.44. That's a savings of $5,292.24 that would be realized over a year simply by ignoring Kelly's NCBA-type advice and eating high-quality grass-finished beef. Thanks for watching.